share your journey, if you will. From graduation, you initially didn't start as a fee-for-service practitioner, but you evolved into one. Would you mind sharing that story?
Yeah, it's actually kind of interesting. So, you get out of school, everybody tells you to practice where you want to work and where you want to live. So I ended up in San Francisco, and nobody tells you how insurance works. And so if you're a new grad listening to this, or you're about to graduate dental school, this is something that you have to know. And it's that when you sign up and you sign a contract to be an in-network dentist, what you're actually doing is agreeing to lower your fees in exchange for marketing. You're on a preferred list. You're on a list that when patients call and say, hey, who should I see? The insurance company send them your way, which is a great thing. New patients are the lifeblood of a dental practice. You want new patients. The downside of it is you agree to lowered fees. When you come out of dental school, you don't really know what fees are. And if you're put in a position like I was, where I didn't really have an idea of what overhead was and what the costs of things were, it didn't really make sense. You can't really, you don't have a gauge. You have no perception of what things actually cost. And so, you had brought up this grassroots movement that dentists are going through. I'm always wary of trying to start a movement of everybody dropping insurance. I think that I'll take a little bit more of a PC stance and say, you've got to really calculate this for yourself. You've got to look at the economics of your practice, what your overhead is, what your cost is, what your time is worth, and see what your fees are, and really calculate, is this a profitable or break-even procedure for me? So going back to me coming out of school, I remember one of my first extractions, it was an upper first premolar. And I had broken off a root near a sinus. And I said, okay, this is not ideal, but I know how to handle this. And here I am digging around root tip picks and surgical burrs, trying to get this thing out. It was a tough lesson for me. The biggest struggle wasn't so much the procedure. We handled that perfectly. I was trained well to do that. It was the fact that afterwards I look at my fees and I'm getting paid less than $80 for all of that. And now the overhead on an extraction, yes, it's low. There's not a lot of materials that are used.
Your lab fee was okay on that case.
Exactly. But you think about the risk involved and the time involved. And that's when I was going, wait a minute, why are we getting paid so little for this extraction? And I go, hey guys, I think we need to raise our extraction fee. And I get laughed at because they said, yeah, our extraction fee is actually quite higher. That's the contracted fee for, and I won't say which company it was, but that's the contracted fee for this. And I said, what do you mean contracted fee? And they said, well, when you signed up, these are the fees that you agreed to. And I looked at them and I said, oh my God, this is kind of crazy. And fast forward to the moment when I decided, you know what, enough is enough, my little aha moment. It was because I actually sat down and calculated, to do the dentistry I wanted to do, here's the materials I needed. Here's how much things cost. Here's how much of that material I'm using. Here's how much my lab fee is. Here's how much the staff is getting paid. Here's how much my rent is. I did all this math. And what's interesting is when I started communicating with patients and trying to explain why I was going out of network, because I think education is a big thing. You have to inform your patients. I remember one of the calculations, and again, I won't say which specific company it was, but I looked somebody in the eye and said, look, this isn't the end. I mean, we can still bill your insurance, but I just want to let you know, for the fees that you were paying for this procedure, I'm actually better off writing you a check for $31 and having you go get this done somewhere else. And I would be better off financially just paying you to go get it done somewhere else.
Brian, I will name names and share a story from our early days at Life Smiles. Paul and I purchased a real fixer-upper practice, and our listeners will know that it was infected with PPO plans. He thought he was involved in somewhere between 12 and 15 plans, and the actual number was 34 because of the umbrella nature of many of those plans. And we simply couldn't get them to work given the quality, given the model of practice we wanted to have. We wanted to provide, we really had a simple vision. take care of patients the way we wanted to be taken care of clinically and behaviorally. So clinically, that meant that we would provide the diagnosis that we would want. We'd provide the treatment that we would want using the materials that we would want, the technology that we would want, and the advancements that we would want. And behaviorally, meaning that we wanted to make every visit to our office a quality experience, a quality and a pleasant experience. And we found we couldn't do that at the time, it was about a 42% discount. The difference between usual fees and contracted fees was about a 42% discount. Today, it's more like 45%. And you're absolutely right to think about that as marketing, Brian, because I teach my clients to think about your adjustments as a marketing expense, even though it'll never show up on your profit and loss statement as that. Think of it as a marketing expense because you're paying the insurance company to provide you patients.